Welcome to the show, everyone. Today we are going to be backstage, giving you a VIP pass to the world of a stage director.
A backstage pass. I like that.
Right, so we're going to find out what a stage director really does.
It's not all espresso and yelling cut.
Definitely not. We've got a ton of interesting stuff to dig into today. Career guides, interviews with actual stage directors.
And even some cool insights into how technology is changing things up.
It's going to be fascinating. So, ready to raise the curtain?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first. What does a stage director actually do? Day to day. One of our sources describes it as unifying various endeavors and aspects of a performance, ensuring its quality and completeness.
Well, that sounds pretty official.
Right.
But it gets at a really important point, which is that it's about a lot more than just the artistic vision.
It's about leadership, too.
Exactly. Managing people, resources, schedules. It's a huge responsibility.
Like being the captain of a very creative ship.
Huh. Perfect analogy. And that ship can sail to some pretty unexpected places.
Speaking of unexpected places, one source mentioned that rehearsals can happen anywhere but a stage. Warehouses, parks, even abandoned swimming pools.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the whole immersive theater trend.
Right.
The director's canvas is basically limitless these days.
So how do you even wrap your head around all of that? You've got to be incredibly organized on top of everything else.
Organization is key.
That's got to be one of the biggest challenges, right?
It's definitely up there. Our research actually found that coordination was the #1 skill listed for stage directors.
Really? Coordination.
Yep. 64% of the sources mentioned it.
Wow, 64%. That's huge. I guess when you think about it, it makes sense. All those different elements to wrangle: actors, lighting, costumes.
Do you like conducting an orchestra, except instead of instruments, you've got people.
So you need to be able to listen closely, right? Be really in tune with what everyone's doing.
Absolutely. Active listening was another skill that came up again and again in our research.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that as being so crucial in such a, potentially chaotic environment.
Oh, it's essential. A good stage director is constantly taking in information, not just from the actors, but from everyone on the team.
So it's not just about giving directions. It's about really hearing what people are saying, both verbally and non-verbally.
You got it. A raised eyebrow, a hesitant pause, those can all be just as telling as any line in the script.
It's almost like being a detective looking for clues.
In a way, yes. You're always searching for that deeper meaning, that nuance that's going to bring the performance to life.
And that takes us beyond just the technical skills,
Yeah.
right? Like how much does a stage director need to know about, well, everything,
A lot.
right? Because we're talking about theater history, different acting styles.
Design elements, lighting, sound.
And on top of that, you have to be able to work with people, manage budgets,
It's a pretty multifaceted role.
to say the least. So it's interesting. A couple of our sources really emphasize the importance of knowledge and learning for stage directors.
Which makes sense, right? Because theater, it's not static.
Always changing.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. New styles of performance are popping up all the time. Technology's changing the game.
And then you've got to reflect what's happening in the world, right? The stories that need to be told.
All of that. So, yeah, a stage director can't just rest on their laurels. They've got to be constantly learning and evolving.
So it's not like you just get a theater degree and you're good to go.
Not at all. It's a lifelong journey of exploration and discovery.
I love that. So how do they do it? Are we talking like going back to school every few years, taking intensive workshops?
Well, it can be that, sure. But it's also about being actively engaged with the theater world.
But seeing as many shows as you can.
Definitely. Reading plays, going to workshops, talking to other theater professionals.
Networking.
Exactly. It's all about soaking up knowledge wherever you can find it.
And I imagine having mentors is crucial in this field.
Oh, absolutely. Having someone who can guide you, offer advice, make those all-important introductions, it's invaluable.
Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the constant learning. But let's get real for a second. What's it really like to be a stage director? Is it as glamorous as it sounds?
Glamorous. I don't know about that.
Right. Because I imagine it's a ton of work, a lot of pressure,
Long hours for sure.
probably a lot of late-night rehearsals.
Definitely. And tight deadlines, budget constraints.
Not to mention the whole creative side of things, which can be exhilarating, but also, I imagine, pretty draining.
Absolutely. Our sources definitely don't shy away from the challenges of the job.
So let's talk about those challenges. What are some of the downsides, the things that maybe people don't always see?
Well, for one thing, it can be a very competitive field. There are a lot of talented people vying for a limited number of opportunities.
Especially for those big directing gigs.
Oh, for sure. And even when you do land a job, there's no guarantee of success.
That's a tough business.
It is. But for those who are truly passionate about it, those who can't imagine doing anything else,
The rewards must outweigh the challenges?
they can, definitely. There's nothing quite like seeing your vision come to life on stage, feeling the energy of the audience.
I bet that's an incredible feeling.
It's like nothing else. And knowing that you had a hand in creating that experience, that you helped to bring those characters and that story to life,
It's magic.
it is pure magic.
So for those who are listening, who are maybe feeling inspired, who are thinking, okay, maybe this is the career for me, what would you say? What's the path to becoming a stage director?
Well, you don't just start at the top.
Right. You got to pay your dues.
Exactly. And one of the most common paths is to start as an assistant stage director, or ASM.
Okay, so what does an ASM actually do? Because I feel like that title could mean a lot of things.
It can, but essentially it's like being a director in training. You're learning the ropes from a more experienced director, shadowing them during rehearsals, taking notes.
Like an apprenticeship.
Exactly. And you're also getting experience with the more practical aspects of the job, like coordinating schedules, managing the rehearsal space, maybe even helping out with the budget.
So it's a great way to get your foot in the door, learn the ropes, and make those all-important connections.
Absolutely. And a lot of successful directors started out this way.
So much to think about. It sounds like there are so many different aspects to being a stage director.
That's what makes it so interesting, though, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But if we had to boil it all down, what would you say are the most important things for our listeners to remember? Like, if they only take away 3 things from this whole deep dive, what should they be?
Okay, 3 things. Well, I think number 1 has to be that a stage director, it's not just about the art, it's about leadership, too.
The art of leadership, maybe.
Ah, doesn't like that. But seriously, you've got to be able to manage people, inspire them, get them all on the same page.
Be a unifier.
Exactly. Okay, and then number 2, I'd say it's all about lifelong learning.
Because theater is always evolving, right?
Always. So a good stage director, they're always pushing themselves, exploring new ideas, experimenting. Yes, that's a great way to put it. And then number 3, I think it would be don't be afraid to start small.
Because you don't just magically become the next big-time Broadway director overnight, right?
Exactly. I mean, it would be amazing, but yeah, it's usually a process. So,
Right.
get involved in your local theater scene, volunteer, assist on a friend's project, take classes.
Build that foundation.
Yes, every little bit of experience helps.
This has been awesome. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's always fun to talk shop.
And who knows, maybe there's someone out there listening who's going to be the next great stage director.
Wouldn't that be cool?
So inspiring. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you next time.